Well, I lower this down here. I keep being told I'm too small to be a hockey player, but I also made it up those stairs without a Jennifer Lawrence moment, so I'm 1 for 2. I am so thrilled to be here, and thank you so much. This is a distinct honor for me, and I'm so pleased that Ashley was speaking about the recognition that HRC is getting for their logo because, you know, for me, I don't know when the first time I saw an HRC bumper sticker was, but I can tell you I was very young, and I had a lot of questions and very few places to turn for answers. And the equal sign quickly became a symbol to me of hope in my mind, and that the world can make sense and that there would be space for me in it. So to all of you in the room, you know, that was an invaluable gift to me. So thank you so much for the work you have done and the work you continue to do. So I've been in the news a lot recently, and I don't think it's because women's ice hockey is taking the world by storm, although it should. And I don't think it's because of my day job as a 3L at Boston College Law School, which any lawyer in the room will tell you is the most engaging year of law school. It's a go-get-'em year. But no, I mean, just last month I returned from a trip to Sochi, Russia, where I attended my 3rd Olympic Winter Games. And this time I was a member of the official White House delegation to the opening ceremonies. Right. But I have to tell you that of all my Olympic experiences, this was by far the most moving for me. I am fiercely proud to be an American. Competing for my country on the biggest stage in sports has been the crowning achievement of my life. But when I received a call from the White House, my role took on a different dimension. My president had selected me and my fellow delegates to represent to the world what it means to be American. He chose people from different walks of life, skin color, and orientation. He chose to showcase the diversity of our country and his own commitment to universal equality. To me, the concept of being an American means a devotion to the highest aspirations and virtues of those who created our nation. It's an awareness of the trials that we've endured and an optimism that people are inherently good and capable of transcending the differences between us for a better future for all of us. These are the same values espoused in the Olympic movement, that uniting the world in peaceful competition will bring out the best in each of us for the greater good of humanity. But at no time in my life have these concepts taken on more of my thoughts than during the lead up to the Olympic Games in Sochi. Up until these Winter Games, a lot of my advocacy work was done on a small scale. The reality is that though I've been out to those close to me for my entire adult life, and despite being comfortable with who I am, as a professional athlete, I didn't want to come out publicly. I thought it would hurt my sport. I say that, but mostly and honestly, I was afraid to be a stereotype, and I am certainly not alone. Despite overwhelming support from family, friends, and teammates, I was not willing to be honest with the world, even though I knew the positive effect it could have on people who had not been as fortunate as I. Then last fall, in the wake of the anti-LGBT Russian laws, with the Olympics on the horizon, I no longer felt that I could stay silent. I took a good look at myself and the suffering being endured around the world, and I chose to speak out. I agreed to an interview about the impact that the Russian policies might have on the Sochi Olympic Games. Now, though I had strong personal feelings about these issues, nowhere did I discuss my own private life or explicitly say that I was gay in the article. Personally, I've always felt that the public classification of people's private lives is absurd and to be avoided. I believe that the process of choosing to come out to the world is a personal journey, which should be vehemently respected. I intentionally blurred the lines in the article, but it didn't really matter. The story got picked up by numerous media outlets, and every single time a new publication or website spoke of me, it was as the gay athlete or as the lesbian athlete. I didn't anticipate being a public figure or a spokesperson, but I have found that in my life, when you step out of your comfort zone, you open yourself up to amazing opportunities. So when the White House informed me that I'd been selected to the delegation, I had no idea who else I would be serving with until the public announcement. Then I saw the list of names, including Billie Jean King, and I thought to myself, wow, look at these remarkable people, and what an amazing choice selecting an openly gay sports icon for the delegation. Then it hit me. So much for, the life in the shadows, doing the good work. My life was about to change dramatically. But then again, the announcement of our delegation was dramatic in itself. As an Olympian, I live my life in 4-year cycles. I measure my achievements, my accomplishments, and my experiences in Olympic training quads. It's a little perverse, but you get used to it. So looking back on the 4 years between Vancouver and Sochi, I realized something really extraordinary. In that time, in those 4 years alone, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, hate crimes legislation was signed, the Defense of Marriage Act was overturned, and states across the nation increasingly reconsidered their policies on discrimination in same-sex marriage. 4 years. Now the president was choosing openly gay delegates to represent him and the United States at the Olympic Games. When it comes to social change, from Stonewall to Sochi, this country, and the current administration in particular, have taken up the mantle of LGBT equality and sprinted with it. Yeah, that's you guys. And it's people like you in this room who are spearheading that initiative, who are keeping politicians and diplomats and people around our country honest about what the right thing is and how to do it, and that is so critically important. And again, these are the thoughts that gave me courage as I looked to the daunting task ahead. Our delegation was to carry a message of acceptance into a country whose LGBT individuals and their allies have faced myriad risks from arrest, deportation, and violence just for speaking out against draconian laws and supporting their fellow citizens. The assignment was simultaneously the greatest honor of my life and the scariest responsibility I have ever known. Now, I understand what it takes to execute under the bright lights when the pressure is on, but none of that could have prepared me for the media storm surrounding our trip to Russia. Each time I stood up in front of a camera or spoke into a microphone, it was with the understanding that my obligation was not only to the United States of America, but to all those suffering in silence, and to all those hopeful seekers of change around the world. As a delegation, we embraced our challenge. I remember at one point apologizing to our straight allies and colleagues on the delegation because the presence of Brian and myself seemed to focus the media on only one aspect of our message. I couldn't even finish my sentence before all of them pounced on me. "Are you kidding?" they demanded. "We are so proud to be a part of this, and we are so proud of you." It can be difficult to describe acceptance to someone who has never felt without it. But suffice it to say that my emotions then and now seem to overwhelm me when I think about that moment. My fellow delegates are remarkable people, not just for their accomplishments, but for the fact that they were willing to go halfway across the world. They leapt at the opportunity to go halfway across the world to do the right thing. They too became caught up in the Olympic spirit, the spirit that no boundaries or classifications or ideologies should separate us from one another or the humanity that we all share. The Olympics are now over, but the conversation continues. Our understanding of equality is becoming more nuanced in the United States. We've entered into a new phase of the movement. Now it's time to close the gap between the experiences of LGBT Americans in one state and LGBT Americans in another, as well as people, LGBT or otherwise, around the world. But most importantly, in my mind, as people, we must learn to respect and embrace one another without having to classify or distinguish one another. What excites me is that sports are playing a major role in advancing this dialogue. Watching basketball player Jason Collins, Missouri All-American Michael Sam, and countless others come out within the last year has been profound for this nation and this movement. Because where once there were vague concepts, now there are human faces and stories. We must be proud of how far our country has come, and we must never lose sight of the challenges still unmet. We must recognize that our achievements are a gift which many others have yet to receive. We have a responsibility to stand up for these values not only in our own country, but around the world. The presidential delegation to Sochi was an enormous leap forward. There's more work to be done, but I know that within this room, I'm among friends ready to accept the challenge. I'm a proud American, a proud member of the LGBT community, and a proud supporter of HRC and human rights for all people. Thank you.